Aber ich glaube, wir uns auch noch verbinden zu unser Operator.
Ja.
Lass uns mal reingehen und
Ist mir sehr kalt.
von deiner Ausstellung.
Danke dir. Maske runter, oder? Ich bin getestet, also mit gebührendem Abstand. Folge mir mit Entfernung. Gut. Ja. Hier, passt das? Also, let the show begin. Okay, let me introduce you to my very first piece, which is actually significant for quite absurd times, which hit us out of the blue pretty much today, a year ago. And with the epidemic, there have also been a whole avalanche of new words into my life and into my everyday, and one of those words would be lockdown. Prior to that, you would have given it a very neutral meaning, or no meaning at all, you wouldn't even have thought about it. For instance, passing a few iron locks on a bridge. In this case, it's the bridge over the Wien Fluss, which is not even a fluss, but just even the water is withdrawing. And yeah, it's pretty well symbolizing a certain hardship and confinement and closure. But maybe a lock is also a door to a new beginning. We have reached a time where life begins to fade as we know it, and faces are lost. Not only human faces, but it goes as far as that cities, places, and even times lose their face. This piece is a work that's actually already approaching, on one hand, transparency, which is upcoming, maybe new for some, as well as a masking effect, which might actually be a paradox in itself. It's definitely a form of new awareness of the unknown, and in a greater sense, it's a stress test, not only on all of us, but also on cities and nature. Coming to think of it, this is my tiniest exhibition that I've ever had, or production of works, because usually I do large-scale photography. But again, you go with the demands of time, and I started doing this, I would say, pandemic journal in a way, or photographic journal on tiles in my quarantine times, and everything you see here is hand-produced without any outsourcings, which anyway would have been a little difficult these days because due to home office and production slowdown. This said, I want to say a little thing I invite you to follow me into the picture. What now might look as a postcard style out of a day in the 20th century, this actually is up to date 2020. And as you can see, life has lost a bit of its colors. All the things we cherished until now, gathering of masses, music, kisses, hugs, playing, and eating together, it vanished overnight. And this picture here basically shows we had Beethoven here. I think it's the statue, it might not be Beethoven, I think it's Haydn. It's on the Vienna Karlsplatz. The back is turned. There's some graffiti on the statue. And then there is a playground, and not even this one little swing is allowed to swing, but is actually controlled and locked down. The lockdown spreads over the city. A new quietness and tranquility has reached us. This is a picture which is done in last spring. There is the ring, and instead of pedestrians and cars, you have joggers basically conquering the big streets for cars, taking over. You have a lot of dandelions, and nature actually takes over human space. And while sitting at home, I was actually having new flashes of awareness, just hearing the sounds of nature, birds and crickets and all other sorts of creatures you usually would not really hear in a city. They would surface. And other things came to awareness, which was breath, for instance, but there were signs all over the city which, in a way, made you smile, and was also a sign that actually life had to go on. The signs that the city and the space needed human beings as much as human beings needed outside space became clearer and clearer as the days of the first lockdown moved on. And this is the Viennese metro station. The text says, "How wonderful to have you back again." People didn't need much more of actually encouragement to get out of their houses again and to get back into what was considered the old norm. Incidentally, this morning I just heard a very interesting thing on Ö1, where they did, now, a year later, where they did some research and interviewed people about whether they want to actually really return into the old so-called norm. And the fact that was quite surprising was that many people actually said that they wouldn't want that. They found new acceptances in life. Everybody, that's for certain, wants to get out of this absurdity which we're in right now. But it's interesting to know that times are actually now having to change, because quite a lot of people actually don't want to get back to where we once were. After a brief lockdown break, summer 2020, where everything began to move again, not only to jog, but actually to function and to open up more and more, there came the fall. And in fall, or with the fall, the corona numbers have been rising again, which unfortunately led to the second lockdown that we had. And this is a little reminder that the devil doesn't sleep. Please follow me. This location is sort of the stage for the absurd theater which surfaces throughout the pandemic. In principle, I would like to welcome you in the art garage of the multilateral Swiss house in Vienna. And the pandemic worldwide affects everyone, no matter whether you live in a flat, a residence, or a castle. One pretty much always reaches at one point or another a time where the ceiling seems to drop on your head and the walls are crouching in on you. And that's actually something I've been trying to portray with this room. Thank you.